In the forests of Australia, the glistening dew of a rain-kissed leaf might be a little more than just a water droplet. The mirror spider takes what would be waste to another spider and turns it into a beautiful mosaic of genius camouflage. Taking a few notes out of the Cephalopod's Declassified Wild Survival Guide, this little spider shines bright like a diamond, which is sometimes the way to survive here in life, death, and taxonomy.
Welcome back to Life, Death, and Taxonomy. It's your 30 minutes of interesting animal information. I'm Joe.
And I'm Carlos.
Thank you to Cassie for the creation of this theme song, of our theme song. For more of Cassie's music, please search Cassie Michelle on YouTube or Spotify.
And thank you to Johanna for the creation of this week's artwork. You can check that out by following us on Facebook or Twitter at LD Taxonomy, or visiting us at our home on the web at ldtaxonomy.com. And a very special thank you to our patrons, Tristan Taylor, Jesse Raspulich, Carol Raspulich, and Richard Kaspar. Thank you so much for your support. It's greatly appreciated. Thanks for helping us keep the lights on.
And today, we're talking about the lurker in the cathedral, the stained Araneae. But more on that later.
The lurker in the cathedral is definitely a Dark Souls boss. Cathedral lurker. Oh man, that writes itself, designs itself. Actually, no, it's open to a lot of possibilities. What would a cathedral lurker look like? Probably something like this.
Yeah. We're talking about the Mirror Spitor.
Yes.
Spitor sounds like a transformer, a beast. What's the beast transformer called? Beast Wars?
Beastamaniacs? I don't know. I didn't watch it.
Yeah, Beast Wars Transformers. Cheetor.
But it's a spider.
Dinobot.
Spider.
Megatron.
But it's like, it's not big. It's a small transformer, and it goes in and like spies on people. It's Spitor.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the mirror spider, also known as the sequined spider, and the twin-peaked Thwytasia. Which I'm sure that's not how you pronounce that.
Thwytasia?
Thwytasia, yeah. But like the TH, I bet you it's like it's the same TH in time or Thames. It's probably Thwytasia.
Oh, could be.
But we're gonna call it here the top shelf Tamatoa because he's shiny, but he doesn't sing a tuneless song about it and waste your time.
Nah. It's fine.
And it's known as the stained glass widow. Get it? Because it's a spider.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all I got. Those are my nicknames.
Do you want to know what scientists to call it?
Yeah.
Staring down the barrel of some long words.
I'm staring down the barrel of some science, and that's what makes me happy.
Well, it's in the kingdom you know, love, and are in the kingdom Animalia.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the phylum Arthropoda. It's in the subphylum Chelicerata. Celador.
It's taxonomy.
Yeah. It's in the class Arachnidae. That's spiders. And other arachnids. It's in the order Araneae. Araneae?
Araneae.
Araneae.
And the class is Arachnida. I don't think it's day. Arachnida.
Arachnida.
Uh-huh.
Arachnidae. Arachnida. And the infra order, if you're into that kind of thing, is Araneomorphae. Araneomorphae.
It's like if you had two pool balls, and it's like, do you want to rack one or the other? And you're like, I rack neither.
Uh, yeah, you do it. Okay. It's in the family. It's in the family Theridiidae.
That's good. Yeah.
Okay.
Those double eyes.
It's in the genus Thwaites or Twaitesia. I taught pointy tat.
It does sound like that.
It's in the species, the binomial name being Thwaitesia argentiopunctata.
Argentiopunctata.
It's what a wonderful phrase.
Or Harry Potter spell.
Yeah.
But since we're in the business of naming things, it's time for my favorite part of the show, nitty-gritty nomenclature. We've already done spiders. Lots of spiders. Spiders are interesting, but that means that we've already exhausted their collective noun. So let's talk about what Thwaitesia argentiopunctata means. What's the etymology of this nomenclature? So, is it A? It's again, this is Thwaitesia, Thwaitesia. So it's just a weird word. And then argentiopunctata. That's all one word. Does that mean spectral reflective spear? A. B. Punctual shield ghost. C. Argentinian mirror. Or D. Silver speckled meadow.
Argentine. Yeah, I don't think it's Argentinian. I think that's a red herring because it's not from there. A. B. I think maybe they have the same, like maybe Argentina is named like a Meadowland or something like that. I'm going to go with the last one, Meadow. And I might be doing the thing that toddlers do when you give them a list of options and they say the last one. Because it's the last one, the only one they remember. But I'm going with the Meadow one.
Oh my gosh, my son does that all the time. Especially when he's like, when he's done eating and I'm like, do you want more or are you all done? And he always says whatever I say last. So is all done? And then just to be sure, I'm like, are you all done or do you want more? And he's like, more. It's like, darn it, we're not communicating at all. What we have here is a failure to communicate. You are correct. The answer is D, silver speckled meadow. Thwaitesia is Old Norse for a cleared land, a field or a meadow. And then argentum is Latin for silver. And then punctata is like black dots and holes and things like that. So silver speckled meadow.
I think we've heard punctata before, maybe with the frog.
Oh, that oh man, now I feel bad not remembering it. The frog that like holds its eggs in its back. The worst frog. Well, last week we did
Suriname toad.
Yeah, the Suriname toad. Last week we did what I would vote as probably best frog. That one I would vote as worst frog for sure.
It's not the punctata. I don't know what the punctata was, but I've heard that before.
But if I had to name it something Latin, I'd probably put punctata in there for sure. But nobody asked me, and also I don't speak Latin. So there's lots of obstacles to me being in the like naming taxonomy games. I'm just here to read it.
I just looked up Suriname toad and oh no, what the heck? I typed in tryptophobe frog and Google Search Console is giving me stats for our website for this term.
Nice. You must have put tryptophobia in the article, and now we're ranking for it, getting that sweet organic organic search traffic.
Why it's I don't see it. I don't see that we're ranking for it. It's just giving me the info. I didn't know I could do this. Anyway, do you want to know what it looks like?
I already know what it looks like, but you might as well explain it to these fine ladies and gentlemen.
The mirror spider is a small spider with a big abdomen and a small thorax. You know the type. The big caboosed spiders. In
You know
terms
the
of,
type.
you can
They're
picture.
all the same.
They have proportionally longer legs, and their legs are translucent, like a cream-colored translucence with brown joints. So, like, they have a different color, like darker joints, kind of like a golden orb weaver, but smaller. And they also have no striking features that we'll talk about at any length and by any means.
That's right.
And I have written in parentheses, this is a lie. Just so I wouldn't forget.
I'm glad you remembered what was a lie.
But I said it was small. Do you want to know how small it is?
Sure.
Welcome to the Beloved Measure Up segment, the official listener's favorite part of the show. The part of the show when we present the animal size and dimensions in relatable terms through a quiz that's fun for the entire family. It's also part of the show that's introduced by you when you send in an audio of yourself saying, singing, or chittering the words measure up into ldtaxonomy@gmail.com. We don't have a new measure up intro this week.
That's not true.
We don't? We do?
We do.
Good, because we do. Oh, yeah. And I'm so glad because I didn't prepare a list of fake animals or real animals that are not the one that we were going to listen to. Oh, before that, we talked about Nora sent us poodle information that we talked about in the it was a very long email, so I didn't want to miss it, but I also didn't want to use it for the main show, so we used it in the warm up on Patreon. And then I sent it to her, and she said, "This is a very good point. If it's about fur, why aren't Portuguese water dogs cut all funny?" And then she has a tableau here. She's written a small script that says, "Portuguese man. The dog swims good. Excellent. Love it. Done and done. French man. I must over-engineer this dog. Everything must be 20% more complicated."
Oh, man.
She wrote
What's the onomatopoeia
HON
for the French man laugh?
The pause before I did it was me trying to figure out what she meant by HON-HON-HON.
Hon, hon, hon.
And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's the French laugh. She says, "It's cool. I'm French. I can make fun of us." She's making fun of that.
Yeah, she comes from
I
the
also
mountains of Canada.
I also have French-Canadian blood in my DNA, so I'm not French. I'm not from anywhere French-speaking, but I have the genetic. I can at least I have enough credit that I can read somebody who's actually French, making fun of French people.
You're allowed to.
I feel.
You're socially allowed to.
I couldn't have made that joke. I don't speak French, so I couldn't have made that joke just on my own free will.
I think you could joke about it. I'll joke about it. The French. Am I right?
Squidward.
I don't have a lick of French in me, but I have been there, and I know some words.
That's true. That's fair enough. You have a healthy respect for the people, the French-speaking people. Yeah. I've been to Haiti. They speak
French there?
Yeah.
So
I've also been to Quebec, and they speak French there.
Yeah, so you're now free to punch in all kinds of directions.
Sideways, up, sideways, diagonal, but never down.
Upways, downways, slantways. All wherever the great glass elevator can take you. And speaking of great glass things, let's talk about the spider.
Oh yeah. I forgot we were doing that. But we have a landmark measure up intro this week.
See if I can guess it.
Let's see if you can guess it. Without further ado, the listener's favorite part of the show.
Can you say measure up?
Measure up.
Nice. I know
You
that
seem
voice.
surprised.
He never said it
Nice.
before. I've never asked him to say it before until I.
So you were recording like that was the dress rehearsal. That was a live performance.
Yeah, he's in the stage where he says anything that I tell him to say. So, and that ended up actually like being pretty clear. I thought about making this big joke, and like he says measure up, and I'm like, that's not even close. But he was actually pretty darn. He said it, so I was like, well, nice. I thought he was gonna be like "Mezza" or something like that, and then I would have been like, "Oh, that's not even close," and he doesn't understand me, so he wouldn't have, his feelings wouldn't have been hurt. But
you couldn't have. The tone alone, you need to give him a carrot after doing a good job.
He would have thrown that carrot on the ground because
A metaphor,
carrots are
a yogurt
gross.
pouch or whatever.
Yes,
whatever
there
the
we
kid
go.
equivalent
Yogurt
of it is.
pouch, Ritz cracker. I don't need to. All I need to do is just say this, and he'll give it his best shot. Say helicopter, hadu dadu. Done deal. We're good.
Okay.
That was Mason, by the way.
Thank you to Mason.
My eldest son.
What do the numbers mean, Mason?
They mean this is a small spider.
They sure do. Let's talk about the smallness of the numbers. Let's talk about female length. The females are larger. So they're 4 millimeters or 0.16 inches because inches are too big. How many female spiders go into the diameter of an Oreo cookie?
Oh, this is something I can work with. Something I'm very familiar with.
So here's a hint. Oreos were developed by the National Biscuit Company. Do you know what the National Biscuit Company is called today?
Nabisco.
Yeah, isn't that fun?
I did not think about that, but it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. They were first developed in 1912. The same year, mind you. You know what else was developed the same year? 1912?
The Treaty of Versailles?
No, the tow truck. No, wait. That might be
No, that was 1916. That was
1915 or 16?
Yes.
Okay, never mind. Close. A couple of years. The world was only a few years away from the tow truck, and they were munching on Oreos.
And the Treaty of Versailles.
They were, for 4 years before they even munched on an Oreo, they had already been munching on a chocolate sandwich cookie. Oreos were nearly direct copycats of the Hydrox, a cookie developed by I've seen it called Sunshine Baking Company, but also just Sunshine Biscuits. In 1908, Hydrox was ultimately defeated by Nabisco after decades of rivalry. In 2015, 100 years after the tow truck was invented, Leaf Brands, the new owner of Hydrox, brought the cookie back with a vengeance. Its marketing is steeped in Americana and Oreo shade. It's made with cane sugar, they say. There's no trans fats or corn syrup like you might find in a nasty Oreo, they say. And Hydrox is proudly made in the United States of America, something that they wanted to point out after Donald Trump had pointed out that Oreo cookies are made in Mexico.
See, here's the big problem. It's called a Hydrox.
Yes.
It sounds...
Hydrogen and oxygen.
It sounds like a pill you take. It sounds like An
Wait,
opioid.
Isn't the little like cousin of an elephant, the little rodent like cousin of an elephant called an hydrox?
I think it's a Hinox.
Oh, maybe, yeah. But it's hydrogen and oxygen.
Oh, Hyrax. That's what it's called. Hyrax.
Hyrax, that's right. They wanted you to know that it was a pure product, so that made with hydrogen and oxygen, I guess, somehow.
I feel like it's going to taste like hydrogen peroxide. I feel like I'm just about to have a cookie that tastes like bubbles.
What it actually tastes like is this little bit darker chocolate and a little bit less cream filling. Oh, it's also a little bit crunchier.
All of those things I don't like.
So Oreo cookie, they did a good job of marketing, like made with more of the sweet cream you love. And also nowadays it's Milk's favorite cookie. Hydrox doesn't take to milk as readily as an Oreo. But you know what that means. Hydrox is great for crushing into ice cream because it won't dissolve into like a spongy mess. It'll have that crunch. And Hydrox is in certain ice cream brands in their cookies and cream.
I feel like I'm being poisoned.
I had Hydrox as a kid. They were, my grandma had Hydrox, and I remember them being pretty good.
I feel like if you just look at Hydrox and you're like, that's a pretty good cookie. If we just put a little bit more cream in there and called it literally anything other than Hydrox, we could probably destroy this company. And they did.
Yeah. Well, briefly, Keebler owned Hydrox, and they renamed it to like Droxies, which is like
that sounds like the street name for the
move.
drug. Yeah. Hydrox is like the official like name, but you're doing like, you got any Droxies? I mean, they're called Oxys.
They should have just called it Hyrax and had a little Hyrax mascot.
Yeah, like Buc-ee's, but way more obscure. Anyway, I think we've been talking about cookies for way too long. I think an Oreo is, I think 1.5 inches across. 2 inches might be too much, but that might make it a little bit easier. I'm going to say 2 inches and call it 12.5 mirror spiders fit across the diameter of an Oreo.
That's a pretty good guess. It's a pretty good guess. Let me do some crunching of the numbers. Let's see if you got a nursing school victory.
You haven't crunched these numbers? You crunch a Hyrax or Hydrox or whatever,
Yeah.
but not these numbers?
I did a deep dive into the Hydrox rivalry with Oreo, and I forgot to crunch the numbers. But the correct answer
Crunch the cookies, not
is
the numbers.
11 spiders. So
That is a nursing school victory.
Pretty close. Yeah.
Whoa!
You can eat 11 spiders long cookie. I kind of want to eat a Hydrox. I want to relive the glory days of Hydrox. I feel bad for them. I feel
like I would just eat. I feel like it would just be feel like eating a diet Oreo, and that's not something I want in my life.
Well, it's chocolatier.
It's dark chocolatier though.
Well, not
bitter,
dark chocolate necessarily.
and there's
It's
less
darker.
Stuff.
It's not called stuff with one F over there. It's just cream. They're not.
It's double stuffed Oreos. There's stuff in there. That's what it is.
It's not stuffed. It's double stuff Oreos.
Yeah, so there was one stuff, and now there is two stuff. and it's objectively better than the one with just the one stuff.
I do think I think two stuff is better than one stuff for sure.
But
honestly,
that's what I'm here for is the stuff.
But anything more than double stuff, that's too much stuff.
I don't know.
At
a certain point, you could just have a bowl of stuff with some like Oreo wafers in there and have a great time with it.
Mega stuff is hubris.
Mondo stuff. That's the starring Kenan Thompson.
But it's not so
good
much
stuff
about
versus Mondo stuff.
It's not so much about the amount of stuff, but it's the stuff to cookie ratio. Because thins are good.
Not as good as stuff.
I mean,
I think you're really
you need to eat-
underestimating the value of stuff here.
Are you one of the? Did you eat an Oreo by like pulling them apart and eating the stuff out?
I have done that, but like that wasn't my primary means of eating Oreos. My primary means of eating Oreos was akin to like a Hoover vacuum. Was actually ingesting them without chewing. It was just inhaling them directly into my gastrointestinal system. So
I dunk halfway into the milk, eat half, dunk the rest.
So actually, like
Eat it.
to this day, I don't even know what an Oreo tastes like. I just unhinge my jaw and just pour this whole sleeve in there. So I can't really account for like the intricacies that you
That
like,
might be
peasant
the
folk use.
worst way to experience an Oreo.
It's just to drop it into your stomach, just this
And not experience
reverse
the flavor.
C-section. I want the Oreo, but I don't want to enjoy it at all.
Feeding tube an Oreo into you. That's the worst way.
Yep.
Okay, let's talk about male length. They're a little smaller. They're 3 millimeters or 0.12 inches. So how many deck of cards thicknesses go into a male mirror spider?
Like a standard deck of playing cards.
Yes.
52 cards.
Here's a hint. Playing cards are thousands of years old and may date back to the 9th century China. The French suited 52 card deck might date back to the 1300s when France made their own versions of the German suited cards after importing them from Persia for a very long time.
I'm trying to find the common thread between
The-
Oreos, spiders, and
There was
playing cards.
the Muslim invasion and conquest of Spain resulted in hundreds of years of fighting. But it also brought the playing cards to Europe.
So good on
They're-
you, right?
Yeah.
Ends justify the means. We can now play poker.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna call that 1 inch. The answer is 8.3 spiders go into the thickness of a deck
Oh,
of
no,
playing
no.
cards.
A spider is longer than a deck is thick.
What?
Let me do it. I'm gonna double check. Typical playing card dimensions. Standard playing card decks are 2.5 inches.
Yeah. Oh wow. I was wrong.
Wait,
the answer is 16.
2.5 inches by 3.5 inches. That's not the thickness.
Oh, not the thickness. Yeah.
And between blank and blank millimeters thick.
It seemed.
But you're right. It does seem like it may be talking about the thickness of a card.
Yeah.
Hold on now. I got another.
I'm happy to do that one though. How many cards? go
Okay.
into the-
Wait. I got some better intel.
In either case, I think that 8.4 cards go into the length of the spider, or 8.3 spiders go into the thickness of the deck in its entirety. So either way, my answer is we'll call it 8.4.
Final answer?
Yes.
The correct answer is 6.35
Cards.
spiders.
So we are doing the thickness of the whole deck.
Yeah, so a deck of cards may be as much as 1905 millimeters thick.
Oh my god.
Which is- What?
19.5 meters. This is just a 60-foot deck of cards.
I should have looked at the biggest deck. That'll be later.
Yeah.
It's a 3/4 of an inch.
All right, now we got it. We did it. We figured it out.
Well, I am bamboozled.
Can we talk about the spider?
Yeah, you want to know some fast facts about the spider?
Yes.
The mirror spider lives in Australia. It's most commonly found in leaves, trees, and bushes. Leaves, trees, and automobiles. They eat small insects. What a surprise! This spider eats small insects, and they catch them. They catch them in tangled webs. Unlike orb weavers that seem to weave particular patterns, mirror spiders and their cousins use a haphazard design and follow no set pattern. They may also use sticky lines that they attach to the ground to catch ants and ground insects. The genus Theridiidae has 3,000 species, and it's one of the most common house arthropods in the world. So this is a house spider, or at least its cousins are house spiders. Members of the genus are sometimes called cobweb spiders.
The family is Theridiidae.
Family. Members of the family are sometimes called cobweb spiders because they are likely responsible for the spooky tangled webs that decorate old houses and neglected corners.
Very spooky.
Members of the family sometimes engage in kleptoparasitism. And they'll live on the webs of larger spiders and eat small prey, and even the silk off of host spider webs. In some cases, they even will eat the host spider. Bad house guests.
Yeah, that's not what you want. That's 1 star. If I could give it 0, I would.
Mirror. If you're an Australian, if you live in Australia, you should know that mirror spiderlings are rarely observed, and we don't have an official description of them yet. So if you see a mirror spiderling, take a picture of it.
Considering how small the adults are,
with a
pretty
macro
hard
lens,
to find a spiderling, and then it would be tough to tell if it was a mirror spiderling. That's hard to say.
If it's at the park and a mirror spider is sitting on the bench, then it might be a mirror spiderling. Or you need to call DCF on that mirror spider for just being at the park and endangering children.
DCF? Do they have that in Australia?
Well, I'm sure they have something similar, but it's definitely not called the same thing.
It's called something way cooler.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. It's just Department of Children and Family, right? That's pretty bog standard.
I'm not going to go look it up.
It is. That's what
Department.
It is.
All right. Yeah. Is that all you got?
Yeah. So that's it, right? There's no big facts.
Yeah. It's just called the mirror spider for no reason. People are dumb. No, we're going to call this one stained glass bottoms up. I don't know. That got away from me. So these spiders are called mirror spiders for a reason, contrary to what I said a few seconds ago. Its abdomen is large, as we mentioned, and it is covered in silver, which is why its species name involves the Latin word for silver, argentum. It is very shiny. It's a shiny boy. And again, he's not preachy about it. So they are covered with these crystalline scales. Well, their abdomens are. The rest of them is not, but their abdomens are covered in these crystalline scales. So, think a cracked mirror. Think like salt. Like the salt pools or salt, like a salt flat or something like that, with all of those like not hexagonal but like polygon structures all together, with lines in between. And these scales are primarily made out of guanine, which guanine is one of the 4 nucleotides, or I forgot what the word is. It is, sorry, I will get the word here. Nucleobases is the word. It's one of the 4 nuclear bases that make up our DNA. And guanine is one of them. And it's also a waste product, which is where we get the word guano from, which is poop. And speaking of that, that's how things usually get rid of guanine is by pooping it out. And same with spiders. But this spider uses some of it, and it excretes it out onto its abdomen, just underneath its a dermal layer. And so that gives it this crystalline, silvery appearance. And this ends up being pretty good camouflage, since it makes what was previously a tiny spider look like a tiny raindrop or a glistening dewdrop, if you're looking at it on a leaf. So, but the main thing that they can do is change their coloring. So this is a spider that can actually change colors, similar to the way an octopus changes colors. So they have these scales, and these the scales have lines in between them, and these lines aren't nothing; they're actually muscles. They can contract these muscles, which will shrink the size of the individual scales and change the color of the spider's abdomen altogether, or they can relax these muscles and expand these silvery scales to make it look like the entire abdomen is just coated in armored silver. So it can do any combination of this. It can create patterns, and it's all based on how threatened they feel. So like huge scales when they're on Twitter, it's really bad. Just they're all silvery. But when they're at home watching Lord of the Rings, sipping some hot cocoa, those scales are just way down. No need for your armor there, unless you're in Lord of the Rings, in which case there are orcs around and you're definitely going to need some armor. But this is a lot like how chromatophores work in cephalopods. We've talked about chromatophores. In fact, in our very first episode of this show, the Humboldt squid, which we keep referencing the first episode, but the Humboldt squid's a cool animal, and it's all connected. But the way that chromatophores work is that you have certain cells that have a certain pigment, and the squid can expand those cells, make them bigger, and when enough of those cells are expanded, it changes the overall hue of the animal altogether. But it's not actually removing any color; it's just making certain cells with certain pigment bigger and other ones smaller, and that's what the spider does here, to be more silver or more green and red and the other colors that it has. Australian zoologists actually like the mirror spider because it's a pretty looking spider. It looks like a stained glass window, and they like it because they're sick and tired of people thinking that Australia has the most dangerous everything. I actually don't think they have the most dangerous everything. It's kind of like a overused meme to say like, oh, it's in Australia, it's crazy. It's like, yes, they have venomous spiders and snakes and crocodiles, but like I would probably give like the crown of most dangerous stuff to like Central Africa. Like if there was a place that I would not want to be around the wildlife, that's top of my list. Alaska's probably pretty high up there too. Like I can deal with like a venomous spider. Snakes are rough, but I mean there are venomous snakes in Africa and Alaska too. But the difference is Alaska and Africa have megafauna that want to kill you. So, and they have more aggressive crocodiles. So I gotta say that I don't understand why everyone thinks Australia is the deadliest place in the world, except for the box jellyfish. That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, they have a lot of things that are that can be in your room.
Yeah, soak in a black mamba.
Yeah, I guess. But a bear is probably not gonna. You're gonna know it if a bear gets into your room.
You would probably.
You're not gonna just go to sleep on it.
You'd figure that out.
And yeah, but you and Australians both. I saw a video that where Australian was like, Americans keep saying that we have the most dangerous animals, but have you seen bears?
Have you seen?
Like,
They have packs of wolves. We got dingoes. They're like half the size.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd still say Africa because I mean, the list of super dangerous large animals is pretty long there, and then the list of super dangerous small animals is relatively long too. So it's just it's an all you can eat buffet over there for crocodiles and lions and stuff like that.
But there's crocodiles in Australia.
Yeah, but now crocodiles are like homicidal. They'll chase you onto land. They regularly
They
eat
ambush
people.
from the bushes.
Yeah, they'll break like wooden walkways over water to get to people. They're like I would much rather have to face off against like a saltwater crocodile or a crocodile from there's a reason why there isn't an equivalent of the crocodile hunter in Central Africa. It's like
because he just doesn't go there.
Because they all died during the first episode. They were all just eaten because they're crazy. The crocodiles and the people that wrestle them, I gotta say. Alligators are forget about it. They're pushovers.
Generally,
they're easy.
Smaller. Yeah.
They're smaller. They're more passive. And then even like the non-predators in Africa are super dangerous. Elephants, Cape buffalo, like stay away. Everything is dangerous. Anyway, because my father-in-law actually just got back from Tanzania on a business trip, and the guy he was staying with was like, keep your eyes on the trees. There are black mambas up there. And this is snake season. Like, oh boy.
But Australia has birds that set fires.
That's true. That's true. They do. So they do have that going for them. And then they have like the box jellyfish, and there are great whites around. But there are great whites in South Africa. So, give and take. But I think Africa, the Central Africa wildlife takes so much more than it gives. But yeah, anyway, the mirror spider was... So I was reading Australian Geographic when I was researching for this episode, and it noted that the first person to describe mirror spiders was named William Joseph Rainbow.
I saw that.
They also said that it was ironic, and which shows, once again, that almost no one understands what irony is. It's like, no, it's pretty appropriate, actually. Like, irony is the opposite. If it was ironic, his name would have been William Joseph Monochrome or William Joseph Colorblind or something like that.
William Joseph just brown.
Yeah, William
Joseph regular brown spider.
Well, William Joseph regular brown. William Joseph normal spider. Mr. Normal Spider. What would you say about this spider that you just found? It's spectacular. It's so abnormal.
William Joseph clear glass.
Yeah, if I was going to peg anybody to discover the stained glass mirror spider, William Joseph stained glass would have been first on my list, but then William Joseph Rainbow is right there, just coming in at a hot second. But yeah, that's the mirror spider. Can change its color, all silvery goodness, looks like a drop of dew. It is venomous but not threatening to humans. So, check it out if you're ever in Australia, because it's found all over the continent.
Yeah, definitely go traipsing around in the bushes in Australia.
Yeah, just kind of sweep your hand. Actually, if you find a bush, just stick your hand into it. And if you find if you end up in the ocean, just jump in and splash around a lot. And those are really the only two things that it says in the Visit Australia guide, so I can't really say anything past that. So anyway, also we just got done talking about the stonefish a few weeks ago, which is like the Australian Aborigines have a safety dance for the world's most venomous fish. So yes, they do have some things you don't want to mess with. I'm not saying that it's a completely tame
It's all
wilderness out
sunshine
there.
and rainbows.
Yes, I'm not saying it's all sunshine and William Joseph rainbows. But I would rather be lost in the Australian wilderness than in the Serengeti any day of the week. So for you out there in Podcastia, that was the mirror spider. Stay beautiful, engorge your scales, and dazzle your enemies like the mirror spider here in Life, Death, and Taxonomy.
Hey Taxonomy Titans, I just want to remind you that we now have a Patreon. Patrons can see full video episodes and get shoutouts on the show. But ultimately, it's a way for you to help us cover some costs and get even better. Still, reviews are the best way to help us grow. So if you haven't left one yet, we'd really love to hear from you. As always, thanks for listening and engaging.
Life, Death, and Taxonomy is my favorite in the world podcast.
Cool.
That's a long episode. I think we need to cut out all of the measure up